Thanks so much, Kaylee. That's right. We have Alan Adler here now for our Truck Tech segment. Alan, thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Good morning, Anthony. How's it going?
Going well. Hope it's also going well for you on this Friday morning. Excited to jump into this topic. I know we're talking a little bit about startups and kicking it off with Too Simple to kick it off here. Alan, what's going on there with the executive switch up and really kind of shake up?
Yeah, it's exactly that. And, it's funny. This has been sort of a slow moving activity. Started really in March with the decision by co-founder Xiao Hao to go ahead and become the CEO and chairman of the company. That brought down Chung Lu, who was the CEO since around 2018, and also Hao's co-founder Mo Chen, who was chairman. So both of them were out. But along the way, even before that, you started to see people that we had become familiar with in terms of running the company and had sort of brought it to where it was start to depart. Chuck Price left. He was the head of product. After that, you had more recently, you had Pat Dillon, who was the chief financial officer and had a lot of credibility from his days at Morgan Stanley and Wall Street go. And then you had the PR firm out, and then you had the head of marketing go. So at this moment, Xiao Hao basically is the company as far as running and making all decisions. That's certainly his prerogative as the co-founder. But it is interesting that all these people that have been around are now gone, and he has brought in a lot more engineers into major roles and things like that. The picture of Too Simple kind of came into focus in a piece yesterday that was posted on the information. They talked about some strong words that were exchanged in January between Chung Lu and Hao over why the accomplishment, really the technological accomplishment of being the first company to take the driver out of a truck did not help the stock price. Well, nothing, as you know, is helping stock prices right now. But Too Simple has continued to lose ground in the market, down to about $7 and change from what at one time was over $70, and then more recently in the high 30s and close to its IPO price from last year of $40. So that frustrated a lot of people, not notably the co-founder, and so he's made a lot of changes. So it'll be interesting to see what his learning curve as a CEO is like, whether his desire to sort of make all the decisions like someone we know over at Tesla does, is going to work out well for the company or not. I mean, there's thought that Too Simple's lost some credibility, honestly, especially losing Pat Dillon from the finance side, and some of the transparency we wrote back in March when this executive change happened, that it was pretty clumsy and it was pretty disorganized, and especially for a company that had been very deliberate, very transparent to that point, talking about this idea of a change in leadership that had been planned, but nobody ever said anything about it. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Too Simple does still have a technological first mover advantage because no one else has taken the driver out of a truck for a pilot at this point. But we'll have to see what happens. And then I think from there, we can talk about Hyliion this week too.
Yeah, absolutely, Alan. Thanks for being here. And also, congrats on your 3-year work anniversary. That's today with us here.
Thank you. 3 years.
We couldn't do what we do here without you, right?
Well, we appreciate that. I had no idea when I came here, what it was going to be like, but it's worked out really, really well, and I'm really happy to be here. So,
well, we are happy to have your perspective on things, and let's continue this. I know we talked a little bit about Hyliion earlier this week and their strategy partnering up with Cummins, which is a good strategy to stay afloat, right? And one of these ones where we're seeing these startups kind of sink or swim at this point in time. And we got through the details of Hyliion earlier this week, so I want to kind of gather your thoughts on just the general kind of climate for startups. Are we getting to a turning point now where startups are going to have to start making some big time decisions and making some really kind of big moves in the market if they want to live, really?
They already are, honestly. Not so much in this space, in the transportation space, where so many of these companies, came public through SPAC or special purpose acquisition companies. They were essentially targeted, and then it was essentially they call them blank checks, or they call them shell companies that brought these companies to pass. But yeah, we're gonna have a scorecard relatively soon. I don't mean personally, but I think there will be a scorecard of survivors and those who fall. I want to come back to Highline for just a minute, and I don't know that there's a direct connection here, but it's interesting that a day after the Cummins announcement, Hyliion signed on, NFI Industries, which is obviously a very big hauler. We talk about them mostly in terms of drayage, but they do all work all over the country. Signed on to take 10 of Hyliion's Hypertruck ERXs, and put down deposit money on them. And that's always the thing you're looking for when you talk about reservations or orders. So that's a big deal. NFI had been on the Hyliion Advisory Council or Innovation Council, they call it. And that's great. And that's lovely. But you know what? Until you become a customer, all that stuff is just window dressing, really. And so I think this is, again, a nice week for Hyliion. The funny thing is, though, the stock is down about 21% this week. So that's the one area that obviously is not good news. But I think that, to Thomas Healy's credit, the CEO there and the founder, he really counsels his people to not pay attention to the stock price and just keep your head down and keep working. And for right now, it looks like Hyliion could be one of those that comes out of this okay. I mean, they've got some money. We talked about that, and that really is what matters. I think the issue for a lot of these other startups in the transportation space is they're going to need to go get money. We see this now, and it couldn't be playing out any more dramatically than it is at Nikola, which was among the first of the SPACs. Yesterday, Nikola essentially adjourned its annual meeting again so that it could continue to pursue votes to increase the number of shares that it has that it can use to raise money. It's now about 2% short of the 50% that it needs to pass that measure. And interestingly enough, although they didn't call him out by name, this really has become Nikola versus Trevor Milton. Trevor Milton voted his shares plus some other shares against this proposal. And so now Nikola is having to spend a lot of money with a proxy solicitation company to go after I think it's still 112 million shares that haven't been voted yet. So this will play out into July, and this month they'll try again here around the 18th, and hopefully for them they will get what they need. But this is the kind of thing you've got to be watching for now. Companies are going to need to come up with more money to keep their runway going, to keep their technology moving. Some will be successful and some won't.
Alan, this almost seems like something that Netflix original can be made out of here with this story. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Real quick, when does this Truck Tech Edition come out this morning?
We'll be out at 11. You guys got it before with more than 5 minutes to read it today, just for the record, so you could see it early. But yeah, it'll be up at 11. It goes out on email. We're now, around 8,500 subscribers. Thank you, everybody who's subscribed. And for those handful of you who haven't, come on back. We'd love to have you. freightwaves.com/truck-tech is where you find us, and easy to sign up. We'd love to have you all on board. And of course, we're always interested in any feedback that you have on what we're writing out there.
Absolutely. And Alan's got those 3 years of experience under his belt, so he's ready for 3 more of making truck tech even better. Thanks, Alan. Enjoy your long weekend. Right now, we're going to head to a quick break, and we'll be right back with our next set of guests.